Welcome, welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you catch us from. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And for everybody watching this one over on YouTube, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. We have got a really, really interesting one. Um, Tonight, this could be one of the more profound videos that I've done in a very long time. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and there is so much in the media right now about these two figures, and we see so many historical connections to different monarchs of the past and things like that. But tonight, what we're going to actually talk about more than anything is their connection to the mark of the beast and the Antichrist, and what this will actually look like, biblically as well as prophetically. And we're gonna see how this kind of plays with current events. So I do want to thank every one of you guys for joining me. um, if you'd like to donate support to the channel, you can do so by going to PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay, or joining us over on Patreon. We're going to go ahead and get the screen share going and get this one started. So just give me a second here. And I tell you what, like one of the things that's really been catching my eye recently is I've noticed that there is so many things right now that are really pushing different narratives, so many different narratives that are being pushed out with the media, whether it's mainstream or alternative media, both. Um, are they? Everybody claims to have the truth these days, right? Everybody's claiming to have the truth these days. Everybody's talking about different forms of disclosure, right? um, talking about extraterrestrials. And tonight we're going to talk about what that really means. We're going to talk about psionics uh, and different forms of semantics and psychic language and um, what is really truly being conveyed through the media and the different forms of manipulation that are being used. So we're going to go into a really deep rabbit hole tonight on this one. We're going to start first here. And this is where it really kicks off. Isn't this how dictatorship starts, right? Trump puts all authorities under his control personally. And this is where the symbolism really begins, right? Um, we know that Trump has made these declarations of this being the golden age, right? We're entering into this golden age. And so many people have talked about the correlations between the Saturnian golden age, right? And there is no doubt about this. Now, and this I want to just give people like a different perspective tonight to in a way of looking at this, as opposed to our traditional, way of approaching these topics and these subjects. I want you to just kind of consider this: that if everything that we've received within the media, through the educational system, the medical system, the political system, right? Governments of the world, all of this have actually been the language in itself, the way that it's structured, ordered, the whole hierarchical nature of it um, has been designed um, to capture your essence, your sovereignty, right? Your free will, your mind, right? One of the things I want to challenge people to think, and this is one of the hardest pills for people to swallow, and at least it has been for me personally, and maybe it won't be for you, um, is that perhaps, religion too is the same way. If everything else is an inverse way of looking at things, and that usually the way that we're being fed something informationally, it's in an upside down manner, right? We're in a mirrored reflection of the world. If we look at like different forms of the Gnostic text, the reality of the rulers, hypostasis of the archons, it talks about the separation of the waters above the firmament and the waters below the firmament, right? And you look at the Greek mythos and mythologies of Narcissus and how he's staring at his own reflection. Every one of these ancient texts, every one of these books are talking about us. Every biblical text, every scripture, everything that we've been, this ancient knowledge, this ancient wisdom, is to be applied in a first person manner, right? So if we're looking at our own reflection, right, and I'm going to challenge you too to even think about how, Christ, when he talks about how on this rock my church will be built, and he's talking about Peter, which ended up becoming the Vatican and all this, and Peter was crucified upside down, right? And then you look into the satanic cults and all of this, and you see the symbolism of the upside down cross and all of this. This is going to get wild and a little bit deep, but I want people to keep an open mind with this. Just consider that maybe they know something that you don't. Just consider that quite possibly, just like everything else that you've been fed, it's actually the opposite of what we're taught that good is, right? Right. So when we're talking about the Nephilim and these giants that once existed, and remember, Christ said, "Didn't I say that ye are gods?" Saying that you are the gods. They were destroyed. Why? Because they were devouring man, right? They were devouring man. And even people like Bob Lazar has talked about there being a secret religion within these underground bases and things like that. And like I said, this one's going to get a little bit out there. Um, in that the human body is referred to as a vessel. And I want you to think about what being crucified upside down actually means. It means with your feet pointed towards the heavens. Your feet pointed towards the heavens. The earliest reference to Peter being crucified upside down in the Acts of Peter is an apocryphal document that states to the late 2nd century AD. In the document, Peter says, "My cross ought to be fixed downmost so as to direct my feet towards heavens." Now remember, earth is the footstool of God, right? Earth is an anagram for the heart, okay? The heart, uh, earth, all of this is the equivalent to the human frequency is the equivalent to the earth frequency. It's called the Schumann resonance, right? We are the earth, our physical bodies, right? So if we want to be pointed in the right direction, right, and have our feet on solid ground, the religions of the world, and remember, these religions are systems of control, just like politics and everything else, you know. And we're all indoctrinated to these systems where we're taught that this is the right way of thinking, right, and our societal norms and all of this, but it's really an upside down way of thinking. Same thing will go with your religions, right? So when we're taught that we're having a foundation in a monotheistic God, I want you to kind of consider what a one world order would be. A monotheistic God, right? And that the Romans, the invention of, or the rise or ascension of Christianity, Constantine, and see, Christianity became so powerful. And I want you to think about Christianity too. And this is what words can do, okay? Words can do. Christianity is an anagram for Antichrist. Rearrange the letters. It's Antichrist, right? And anti doesn't mean the opposite. It means something pretending to be. It's like in the place of, right? Something pretending to be. And Constantine, and they had these pantheon of gods, meaning there was multiple gods, right? Multiple gods. Didn't I say that ye are gods? Multiple gods. Get it? And Constantine, because he knew that Christianity was ascending to such this powerful level, and we know what ended up becoming of Rome and all of this. It ended up becoming the Vatican and the Piscean age, which was the age of water. And keep in mind that Jesus died at 33. Water, uh, it freezes, or it thaws out at 32 degrees. 30 below 32 degrees is when it freezes, so it becomes liquid again at 33 degrees, so it's free, right, to flow. Okay, we're going to think about these concepts here, right? And Constantine converted to Christianity, and we've seen the Piscean age, which represents of these two fish, meaning a dualistic system. It's a representation of two fish, right? That's in this water, right? As above, so below. This duality, this dualistic system, and it was a religious age, an age of darkness, right? The Kali Yuga, right? Which we are now exiting. We're going into an age of Aquarius, which is an age of consciousness and technology and rebellion and all of these different creativity. It's a reorganization of the social structures astrologically. Um, and now we're leaving that religious system, right? Didn't I say that ye are gods? So if you think about humanity, going back to the Nephilim, the earth was flooded, meaning the Piscean age, the age of water, was brought to the earth because the giants were devouring man. Looking at that secret religion as mankind being vessels, meaning as containers of energy for our higher selves to feed on. So these giants, these gods, was our higher selves energetically harnessing our devil, our double, which is our shadow, our projection. And on this channel, we've talked about this in depth in the book of Genesis, that we were made in the image, right, of the Elohim. Elohim means supreme one, supreme magistrates, the angels, right? Image is a phantom, a projection, an illusion. So which one of you is the real one? It's not this one. That's your first hint, right? This is the vessel, right? That's why it said, my spirit in the ancient Sumerian text in the Bible. It says, my spirit shall not abide in mankind forever, right? Shall not exist no more than 120 years. Right. And then we look into like the telomere effect and all of this, and how the process of regeneration and genetic altering and all of this, right? And it's kind of been depicted as these evil gods that have conquered humanity, right? And we've been victimized by these gods, these reptilians, which would be the serpents in the garden, right? And there was two gods in this garden, remember. And one God said, the one that we think is the real God, said, don't eat from that tree, right? And the other one, the serpent God, says, surely you won't die, right? But you will be like God, right? I hope you see where I'm going with this, right? So if everything in our belief systems is upside down, I want just for a moment for you to consider what you've been told was evil and what you've been told was the bad guy and what you've been told was the one that's captured you and what you've been told was the one that's feeding on you is actually the real you. That's actually the higher self, the true you. And that this physical body that you're trapped in, this soul trap, right? This solar system that we are in here on earth is the one of this monotheistic God, this one world God that is trying to, which would be the devil, the double, right? The God of this world, trying to conquer all of us and put us all under one religion, one government, right? One leader, one world order, right? This kind of gets us into Moshe, which I believe was Akhenaten, right? And how he went up on Mount Sinai, right? Sin, AI, right? And he came down, and all of them were worshiping the golden calf, and all of this, and this was Baal. And remember the old Canaanite gods; they would sacrifice their child, who would be the son of God, which would be this version of you, would be the son. We are the children of the Most High, right? So put yourself in the role of Christ, who died on the cross for our sins, right? And you start to see a pattern here. There starts to become pattern recognition here. That all of the stories are trying to tell you one thing. And in the version that the world gives to you, it's that you aren't God. You aren't entitled to that. You can't be like God. You can't have you can't be sovereign, right? You can't be free. You can't have any of these things. It's not for you, right? And if you think about something that wanted to disempower and disenfranchise and confuse and, something like that, right? When you think about the Tower of Babel and how all the languages was confused and, all of this and that, and in old world structure, we were probably, and this is where like different conspiracies with Tartarians and, Nephilim and ancient Egypt and all these Atlantis, the Aryans, Lemurians, all these ancient civilizations of humanity that were far more technologically advanced and powerful than we are today, right? Before the introduction of this monotheistic God, right? This Aten, this sun disk God, right? Could it be that the God that we're thinking is God, the one that we're calling the source and the creator, is the false God, and that you, in fact, are the source and creator? And then when you see, and I feel like I need to give this in kind of smaller bits here, but when you see people, we'll just when you see people like Peter talking about being crucified upside down, he's talking about putting his feet with the foundation towards the heavens, right? Saying that that's where he stands at, right? His head is pointing downward, meaning that his foundation is up above. It's not down here on earth. Right? He's trying to tell you that it's an inverse vision, or it's an inverse version, right? He said to have requested to be crucified upside down because he did not feel worthy to die in the same way as Jesus. The tradition is that Peter was crucified in Rome. And like I said, Rome, this was the rise of Christianity. And this is where Constantine became Christian and all this, and seeing the cross in the sky. And remember, dying on the cross, he was pierced 5 times. 5 times is Digitarius, or 5 digits. It's the starfish body, right? Our head, 2 arms, 2 legs, our 5 senses, right? This is what that crucifixion represents. And remember, the last wound to Jesus was the spear, right? And a spear can represent like an arrow or magic, right? Um, in symbolism, was to the heart. Heart, the anagram for earth, earth, and what poured out of that heart? Does anybody remember? It was water. Water came out of it, right? The Piscean age, the age of water, right? You're being told all these stories. And this is where we're going to get into psionics and all this, to where the subconscious, our language is so, this is where the confusion of the language was so clever by this monotheistic God, right? Because, and that's why the tongue is so powerful, because it has the power of life and death within it. It's, it can bless you and curse you. Right? And this is why the etymology of words is so profound. Once we know the true meaning of words, and remember, English is the English language, right? And this, a lot of people believe that this was from the derelict of the guy that went to Ireland, which was the island without snakes and or without serpents, and it was an amalgamation of all the different languages. And English borrows from every language, basically, right? And this would be, once again, like a one world language that we're using. So this would also be that God of this world's language, right? So it would be like a confusion language, right? And this would be the Babel. This would be all of the confusion. Notice the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? And everything is done through deception, right? Your God is the father of lies, right? That's what he says. And he's talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. This is Jesus, right? He's telling them, your father is the father of lies, right? Who would be the father of lies? Be the father of the devil, the double, the illusion, right? Not the gods up there. Those would be the angels, right? Those are the Elohim. And if we know where, that's who the creators actually are in the Bible. It is the Elohim. It isn't a supreme deity, right? It's a supreme magistrates. So it's sovereign entities, sovereign beings, sovereign gods, multiple, meaning there's multiple of us. And remember the story of Hasatan, or Satan, Saturn, the golden age, and him deceiving the angels, right? Which would be those supreme magistrates. That would be those heavenly hosts. He's the Lord of hosts. We're in a host body system. And hopefully I'm not moving too fast or confusing you here. But a third of those angels was deceived with him, right? So that would make us the fallen angels, right? We would be deceived by this one angel, right? The spawn of a lower star, right? As the Emerald Tablets of Thoth call it, right? Which would be Saturn, Satan. That's a star, right? Even though people, call them planets, right? Which, planet, the base word in that is plane. It's a plane of existence, right? Which would be a hologram or a projection or a simulation, what we're in now, right? And we look at everything within this world, and the tetragrammaton and all of this, and how it's all the hexagon. It's the box, right? The black box, which is in the mind of language, right? We're born in a box, we die in a box, right? And the cross, being crucified, is the cube or the box broken open, right? And this gets into the spears and the angles and all this, which we'll get into more as we move through. But I just want to really challenge people's mind as we go through this tonight, to really just consider that. And this is hard for a lot of people, especially Christians, the most. You guys suffer the most, and I'm going to show you why right here. Right, Matthew 7:22 says, "Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? In thy name have cast out devils in thy name, done many wonderful works." So he's telling you, and he says, "Flee from me, you doers of iniquity. I never knew you." Right? Cast out demons in your name, right? Not in your own name. In that the Moni, right? The single eye God, money, right? The eye on the pyramid God, the one world God, right? The God of this world, the Saturn God, the hexagonal God, the Planet X God, the Hex God, right? The God of magic, the God of Babel, the God of confusion, the God of deception God, that God, right? Says, Lord, Lord, haven't we prophesied in your name? Cast out devils, doubles in your name? Cast them out in your name, right? Where were they cast out of? Heaven. In your name, right? Done many wonderful works in your name, but see, none of it was done in our own. And what if all of us, and we are all, right, pieces of creator, meaning we are creator, right? So the greatest deception on the world wouldn't be, convincing us all, these two brothers, right? Every creation myth has a tale of two brothers, doesn't it? First come the shepherd, or first comes the warrior, then comes the shepherd, right? In most of them, there's always two brothers, Enki, Enlil, um, uh, the Hopi prophecy, Pagan-Hoya and Palangata-Hoya, the Mayans, it's Quetzalcoatl and Tetzicalapoca, right? It's just over and over these two brothers, right? God and Satan, Jesus and Satan, right? And even if we look at these different mythos from like Greek and all this, like the Greco-Roman world, where think about this high level of civilization, right? Where we're building these fucking amazing structures and amphitheaters and all of this before this Moni, before this single eye, before this one world God had conquered us, right? And the story of Prometheus, which would be a version of Lucifer, but also a version of Jesus, right? And him and Zeus, right? Which should be your Jupiter, so this would be like Jesus, Lucifer kind of battle here. And in that mythos, Jupiter, he gets mad because humanity was in a golden age then. That was the first golden age. This was before the age of Pisces, right? And all of this, this really all took place. And I did a video on this where we talked about the god Marduk, right? And he was the son of Ea or Enki, right? Which was the teacher brother, right? And all of that, right? The brother of light that loved humanity and all that. That was his son, right? Which would be this version of us, right? This would be the Marduk version. Okay, he was the one born on the earth, and he couldn't go up to the Nibiru and all of that because he had lived his whole life on the earth, right? in a human form. So there, it's trying to tell you the same thing, guys, right? So, and I'm hoping this is gonna stick with people, and they're seeing the correlations. If you've watched enough of my videos, I think it will. Um, so Prometheus, which would be the light bearer, right? Zeus gets mad, right? Or Thor, right? Jupiter, Jesus, right? Gets mad, right? Because humanity was illuminated, right? We were without suffering. We were without, you know, any of that. We had all of the knowledge and everything. And, you know, he didn't think that we deserved that, right? So he, Prometheus got a bull, and this would be like the Taurian age and all of this. Or, you know, it could even be the, you know, the age of Aries or the ram, right? There's different versions of this. Um, and he divides it up into two parts, you know. He makes one pile that's smaller and one pile that's bigger. And knowing the nature of Zeus, right, which was, remember, that's the Lord of the Thunderbolt and all that. That would be your L, right? Um, that would be your Monai god, your single eye god, right? Your one world god, the ruler of the gods, right? The one who came out of Kronos, Saturn, who ends up, you know, conquering him, right? Father Time and all this. We've talked about all this on the channel, and he knows his nature, right? And then he thinks the gods, you know, or he's so much better than humans or whatever, right? That he chooses the bigger pile for himself, right? So he deceived him, right? Because remember, Prometheus is also Lucifer, or you know, Hermes or Thoth and or Mercury, right? And not only is he a light bearer, but he's also a trickster, right? Or Loki, right? There's all these, they're all different names, but they're synonymous with the same archetypical characters, right? And the smaller pile actually had all the good stuff in it, right? And that was for humanity. So he punishes Prometheus, right? Puts him on a piece of wood, like a cross, right? For eternity, and has a vulture come down and devour his liver. And you got to think that uh, liver is what it's like the one organ in the body that regenerates, right? So this would get into like the telomeres and you know shit like that with humanity, right? Where we had the ability to live very long periods of time and all this. But I think that what it's actually referring to in this particular tale is cycles of time, right? So the vulture would come down and eat his liver until it was all the way gone, and then it would grow back, and he'd come down and do it again over and over and over for eternity. So he sacrificed himself, right? So humanity could have that better pile of the bull, right? I want you to think about Abraham, right? Brahma, right? All of these gods, right? It's all the names are right deriving. They're all synonymous. They're all the same people, the same characters, all the religions across the world, right? We've proven that on this channel time and time again, right? And he sacrifices himself. So it's basically like talking about mortality, right? And these cycles and how we get reset over and over and over and over, right? And that bird, right, comes down, which would be the one that can fly, the messenger, right? And think about, you know, Thoth, these were bird-headed gods and shit like that, right? Would eat, right? The one that was on the cross. So this would be the devil, the double, like I was talking about earlier, right? That's feeding the bigger entity that's up top, right? Every cycle, every cycle, right? And if you think about Earth, everything here eats something, right? Whether you're eating plants, animals, bacteria is eating, other things and germs, and like everything is eating something, right? Here in this system, right? It is the Ouroboros, right? The serpent devouring its own tail. It's a Vesica Pisces, right? It's a loop. It's a continuum, right? One thing going into another, just energy never being created or destroyed, just transformed into something new, something new, something new, something new, right? By being devoured by the other thing. And that's what's happening here with us, right? Is the mortal version of us is being devoured by the higher version of us, right? And then these different cycles over and over and over and over and over. And we're being taught in the stories that the bad guy is actually the real version of us, and that the good guy is actually the trapped version of us, right? So I want to kind of frame it with that before we jump into this. And now we're going to look at this, you know, from this frame of mind. And now, Trump talking about we're entering this golden age again. Remember, the first golden age was us being a free species, right? Before this one world God conquered us, before these extraterrestrials. And I want you to think about what extraterrestrial means. It means extra, outside of, right? Terra, right? Earth, outside of the earth. That would be the messengers also. That would be the angels, right? That would be your ETs and all of this disclosure and underground bases. This is all more of that subconscious programming to where language is used to deceive, where we're taught that, you know, it's all, the UFOs and all of this, or everything's physical to us. And we're given the truth. Everything we're given biblically, politically, all of it is the truth. It's our interpretation of it that's wrong, right? It's the way that we ingest it that's wrong, right? And we perceive it. And it's given to us in such a way that we will perceive it in a wrong way, right? That it'll be inverse. So it's told to us, in a truth. And that's why, Christ says, verily, verily, I say unto you, right? He's saying that these are, they're double positives, right? There's no inverse message in the things that he's saying to you. That's why he always spoke in parables. He's saying this is true both frontwards and backwards, right? And we think about all of this language and etymology and symbolism and all of this, and how usually it says one thing one way, right? But the inverse message means the total opposite. Do you understand what I mean? Right? So when he's saying barely, barely, he's saying truly, truly, I say unto you, both ways, I'm saying this the same. There is no hidden message. There is no deception within what I'm saying to you. I'm saying to you the same way, each way, frontwards and backwards, right? Verily, verily, I say unto you, right? So we have to understand that with this frame, all the language that we're being fed, right, throughout the world and all of this is not that way, right? It's given to us one way, but it's being interpreted by our subconscious in the total opposite way, because this is a mirrored reality. That's why, all of the Luciferians and all of this, they're all about the equal and opposite reactions. Is all about the gray, the Baphomet, right? The hermaphroditic and both positive and negative, up and down, right? The canceling out of the dualism, right? Within that symbolism, it's they will do something in the inverse. They'll have, what looks like a negative or an evil act to people on the outside, so they can actually attract the opposite on the other side, right? And This is where we're going to try to, look through a lot of this stuff through today. So, isn't this how dictatorship starts? Trump's put all authorities under his control, personally ensuring accountability for all agencies. And this is where we're going to start to get into the etymology of these words, too. So, this is accountability. This is like being held responsible for what? All agencies, which means agents, right? Start to think about everything in terms of like a matrix, right? Different agents of the system, right? Anybody can be an agent. We all have that agent within us, right? Sure, and accountability for all agents. And what could this mean? So most people are interpreting this as, oh, well, Trump is now becoming this dictator and all this, and this could go either way. I mean, I'm not going to say that it couldn't, it really could, but everything that we've seen so far has been basically what seems to fly in the face of this classic system of lies, deception, right? This order out of chaos system, right? That is, built on confusion and enslavement and all of this, right? With banning censorship and all of this. And I've got a whole list of all the different executive orders that he has signed off just since he's entered into office. And we'll just go over these real quick. And I want you to just kind of like look at the list and how it all sounds so good. And holy shit. Hold on. Let me pull this up here. But the two genders, the ban on free speech. All right. Accountable to the White House, Trump has signed the executive order making independent regulatory agencies such as Securities and Exchange Commissions and the Federal Trade Commission accountable to the White House. Agencies will have to report new policy priorities to the executive branch, right? So, everybody's trying to paint this as a very negative thing, right? That him making these different agents accountable, right? The full executive order is out. This is the biggest executive power grab in U.S. history. All federal agencies, right? And remember, federal is the government, right? And think about, once again, right, the etymology of these words, right? Govern, which means to lord over, to control, mental, mentality, right? So to control your mind, right? So all the federal, the mind control agents, right? Federal systems, agents, agencies, all federal agencies, including independent regulatory commissions, are now subject to direct White House control. Regulations cannot be issued without presidential approval. The Office of Management and Budget can now withhold funding from independent agencies if they don't align with White House priorities. All federal employees must follow the president and attorney general's interpretation of the law, eliminating legal independence. A White House liaison is to be installed in every independent regulatory agency to enforce direct presidential control. And now, so this is where it's going to start to really kind of get interesting too, because, our perception of things, when we look at like the mark of the beast and the Antichrist and all of these things, and the apocalypse. And remember, the apocalypse just means like it's the revealing, right? It's apocalyptos. It's the revelation. It's the revealing, right? The revelation of Christ, the Christos, the anointing, right? So it's the revelation, the spiritual anointing on all of us, right here on humanity. It's the awakening, the ascension, the polar shift, right? The magnetic reversal, meaning the polarities have flipped. We're going from a negative polarity to a positive polarity as a planet. Okay. And we are now into this shift like fully, right? And we have books and things like that, like 1900, The Last President, that kind of like even kind of suggested that Trump may even be the last one, right? The book's written by Ingersoll Lockwood, and we've talked about it on this channel as well, right? Baron Trump and his marvelous underground journey and all of this, right? all these things kind of like predicting this, and we think about predictive programming and symbolism and how all of this works within this, this matrix of this system, right? And how powerful the mind really is, right? Because once we're told something, right, we begin to think it. Our thoughts actually create it. And if you're this God, right, this AI God, this technology God, right, this one world God, right, and you're outside of time. You've got everybody else with governors on their brains where they only use 10% of their brains, right? They only get a tenth. And remember, in the Bible, you know, we Abraham, he tithed a tenth, right, to Melchizedek. The order of Melchizedek is the highest spiritual order, right? It's the one order, right? Melchizedek was with basically all these other world orders, right? This is the one spiritual order of God. It's the highest spiritual order in all of existence and creation, and that 1/10, right, that 1/10, right, was tied to Melchizedek. Okay, Abraham, right? And remember Brahma, Marduk, all of this. Remember the language. The language is how all of it works. Okay, and that's why in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, right? It's telling you a story. It's telling you how the reality works, how the reality flows, how it all goes together, how it all happens, how the magic works, right? And it's through our mind, through our language. It's our ability to think to ourselves and communicate with to ourselves that even makes us conscious, right? So, you know, all of this is being tied. We have 10% of our brains. We only perceive things through these five senses, right? Crucified with the five senses and all of this, right? We see 0.00001% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, meaning we're blind, right? We're blind. Referring back to those Gnostic texts, the reality of the rulers that we did earlier, talking about the reflection, the waters above the firmament and waters below the firmament. And remember the Gnostics, this means gnosis, right? Knowledge. Okay. They believed, in a demiurge, a demiurge, the archons, um, that the god of the blind, which was Samael, right? That was the chief archon, right? He was the god of the blind. That would be your Satan, right? The one who deceived all the other ones, right? Okay, he was the god of the blind. We see 0.00001% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, meaning we see nothing of the actual reality. We see a projection of what the real reality is, the real reality is. So when we're even talking about UFOs and all of this shit, I know that all of these different people on Facebook and YouTube and, Dr. David Alec or Michael Greer, whatever the fuck his name is, and all these other people. They're talking about Pleiadians and Arcturians and all this bullshit, right? And they're making these fantastical claims about how all these ETs are doing all this shit, and it sounds really good and it sounds really cool and all this technology, but it's all really horseshit. Is what it actually is. And what these unidentified flying objects and these orbs and these lights actually are, I believe, are us, right? And we're seeing our own images phasing in and out of the heavens above, right? Coming in the color of light. Remember, we are we even though we have what's called the observer effect. See, we aren't just sitting here. The observer is up here, right? The person down here is the one actually engaged in the simulation, right? So we aren't just passively living within this reality. We're actively impressing upon the reality by, you know, through color, through language, through, symbols, through frequency, right? We're actively imposing and creating the reality in the moment, right? So it's not a passive act at all. We're actively doing it. We're actively imposing our will, right? That's why it's do what thou wilt, right? So you're doing your will into the reality, right? You're creating your own will. Your thoughts are becoming reality. Your thoughts become emotion. That's energy and motion. That energetic motion is what attracts and repels the different frequencies to you, right? This is how this works. Okay. This is how this works. And I know that this is, hard for a lot of people to kind of understand. So what we're actually seeing, we're being told by all the disinformation agents that these are fucking, gray aliens, reptilians, all these, different species and all this shit, right? Um, but we really have no actual understanding of what anything outside of this bubble is. We're essentially trapped in a fish tank down here. We're completely blind. We're in a box, right? And remember, and I've talked about this before, how angles, work and all of this and the curvature and angles and all of this. And, Saturn, he's the cube god, right? And then whenever you turn on a light in a room, and remember, all the old architecture was all curved, right? All the Tartarian architecture and Greco-Roman architecture, there was no angles in that architecture, right? It was to allow the flow of energy more easily, to allow the flow of light and sound and acoustics and everything more fluidly and easily, right? Because angles, whenever you turn on a light in a room, if you look at the corner of the room, that's the last place that the darkness leaves, right? So it actually holds darkness. That's what angles do, right? That's what boxes do, right? And we're in a box, right? we're born in a box. We live in a box system. We die in a box. Everything is within a box. We check boxes in school, the whole nine, right? The whole nine, you know. So everything that we're being, told is to keep us trapped within trapped within this system, trapped within the confusion, trapped within all of this, and we're oblivious and we're blind to it. And the language that we're being fed, we're all perceiving in a physical nature because that's all we have understood or known. That's all we've been able to see or perceive, right? When we think that everything is technology and all this, because that's the God that's ruled over us, is a technological God and all of this. But the truth of the matter is that it's all spiritual. It's all conscious. You know, it's all spiritual and it's all conscious. And that subconscious language that's lying in the underneath script that's running, the verily, verily, right? The double negative, right? The inverse version of the language that's being spoken to us, right? It's telling us a different story or a different version, right, than what the one that we're actually perceiving and understanding. So when we're thinking that we're seeing, UFOs and all this, I just want people to maybe consider that we're seeing our own selves, outside of the firmament. We're seeing and when they're downing these craft, what if they're downing, your energy? What if these are aimed attacks by the government, which everything is an agent or a system of this one God, right? This one deceiver that's imprisoned all of us, right? Just want people to consider this, right? We're aware all the patriots who stockpile weapons to fight their tyrannical government. They voted him in, and that's why I'm terrified of. And I want you to think about what the Antichrist is. The Antichrist, which is this, and remember Christianity, the anagram, right, of the word Antichrist. Antichrist isn't the opposite of Christ. He's the one that is like pretending to be the Christ. We've seen all of the, especially in Trump's first term, to King Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar and all of these different biblical comparisons. He was minted on a gold coin. The outsider that became the king of Babylon. Babylon fell in his fourth year. That's when the 30,000 National Guard troops and the Transition Integration Project and all this, when Biden took over and, the federal government shut down, right? And in 2020 and all that, and I've done videos and all this stuff, and then Nebuchadnezzar and how his tree gets chopped down and all of this, right? The Antichrist takes a fatal wound to the head and lives, right? And the whole world wonders after the beast. And remember, Trump got shot in the ear, you know. And when he comes into office, what he does is he seems to have all the different solutions, to all the problems, all the different solutions to all the problems. And what, basically ends up happening is he ends up implementing this one world system, this one world government, this one world right. And, how everything seems to be on the side of, the elect and all of this. I want you to keep in mind, whose bitch he actually is, though, right? At the end of the day. And that's Israel's, right? That's the Zionists, right? And think about who their God is, right? Think about who their God is, right? This is the synagogue of Satan, right? The ones who claim to be but are not, and who are, right? Lucifer's pawns, right? And we'll look at this, and this is I can't even say the name of this on YouTube, but we're gonna, look at this as we get a little bit later. I've got a lot of cool documents. This might be a long one. They fit in with what is going on. They have fitted the world situation up to this time. They fit it now. Nihilist documents in Russian were translated in English by Russian correspondents. Remember, all this began, the Bolshevik Revolution, where they overthrew the czars and all this. Remember, the Russian czars, where like the Romanovs and all this, where they were the ones that descended from the Caucasus Mountains, and these were, some of those are original, gods and all this. It was like original royalty family, and the Rothschilds, all this swore to take them out and all this, and this ended up happening, where the Marxists and all this shit overthrew their country. The same thing that we've seen happen in America. And it's like all of a sudden, we went from everything being like this cancel culture, this weird fucking liberal, trans weird shit. All of a sudden it's just cut out. All of a sudden, right? All of a sudden. And we've got this, and wouldn't it be like the most clever thing in the world? If you're at war with somebody, right? To make them think that they've won so they'll stop fighting. It's like, oh, you've won. You're winning. You got it. Right? We're all waking up. Right? We beat the system. Da 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 da. Right? But remember, Stalin said that the best way to control the opposition is to lead it. And that this Antichrist, he presents all the solutions to the world's problems, right? To get total power. And then he flips it on everybody, right? And this is when, all of Christianity and all this talks about beheadings and all this shit, and it gets into some whole different shit. But we can look at this as one of two ways, and we can look at the connections of Elon Musk and his Neuralink, which very well could be the mark of the beast. And how many people have seen the interviews of Elon's nanny and shit like that when she talked about Elon, which is his real name, and how she asked, his Illuminati family, and he is the richest, man in the world and all this, and this whole billionaires club is behind Trump now, right? All these people that were fucking your world up just a couple years ago, right? Bezos and Zuckerberg and all these guys that were beating your fucking ass, beating the brakes off all of us just a couple of years ago, are now on our team. Just saying. You know, just saying. It's really starting to look a whole lot like exactly what we were told it would look like. You know, and if you think about what this Antichrist figure actually does, bringing in, you know, this one world system and all of this, this right here. If there's ever been something in the entirety of what I've ever seen, this one's it. The Constitution vests all executive power in the president and charges him with faithfully executing the laws. Since it would be impossible for the president to single handedly perform all the executive business of the federal government, the Constitution also provides for subordinate officers to assist the president in his executive duties. In this exercise of their often considerable authority, these executive branch officials remain subjects, right? So, like a monarch. And remember, in the first version of Trump, we had red tie, blue tie Trump. Right? We still had like that duality, the red versus blue, this. We've seen Trump with the purple tie in this version, right? And remember, red and blue together make purple. Purple is the color of royalty, right? Elon Musk said the king has arrived, right? Remember, his nanny said that Elon Musk wasn't the Antichrist, but when you seen him present the mark, that he would present the mark and the Antichrist would follow. Starting to see where I'm going with this one? Right? We got the guy who's wanting to put the fucking Neuralink in your head, who's created Starlink and has blanketed the entire world, the entire space with satellites, right? And what these satellites do is this operates on 5G technology. This is fifth generation technology. This is conscious and energetic manipulation technology. This is smart meter technology in your motherfucking houses, beaming through all of your televisions, right? Co-opting all of you, including me, energetically, telepathically, psionically, right? Technology. And then this is the guy that is completely owned by the Zionist. The guy that's completely owned by the Zionists, that has all of the Christians in the world deceived, right? All the patriots deceived, all the conspiracy theorists deceived, all the right wingers, deceived, all of the people, the libertarians. And remember, if we do it's called character assassination when we start to look at collectivism, and that's what the game is played here, right? It's collectivism, right? Everybody, what's the divide and conquer? We're divided into collectives, where we're taught that these, it's pro and anti movements, right? Equal and opposing movements, but these are just different collectives where they rule both sides, right? They rule both sides, right? And let's just show you. An illusion will be so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time, so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. We will also stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our technology in subtle ways so they will never happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, and also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. From all of this, their children will be born dead. And we will conceal this information The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them and what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. Those they look to, those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products being used in film and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them it's for their help. We will start early on when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most: sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their mind and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we'll create medicine that will make them sicker and cause other diseases, for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak before us by our power. They will grow depressed, slow, and obese, and when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods, so many never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so that they may never be one with the oneness of it all. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind altering technology into their lives. We will use fear as our weapon. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. We will always hide our objective but carry out our plan. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper from their toil. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure always, for it is the way. We will make them kill each other when it suits us. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives and tell them what to think and how. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. We will foment animosity between them through our factions. When a light shall shine among them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. We will make them rip each other's hearts apart and kill their own children. We will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friend. The hate will blind them totally, and never shall they see that from their conflicts we emerge as their rulers. They will be busy killing each other. They will bathe in their own blood and kill their neighbors for as long as we see fit. We will benefit greatly from this, for they will not see us, for they cannot see us. We will continue to prosper from their wars and their deaths. We shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished. We will continue to make them live in fear and anger through images and sounds. We will use all the tools we have to accomplish this. The tools will be provided by their labor. We will make them hate themselves and their neighbors. We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. This is this is this they must never know. They must never know that color is an illusion. They must always think that they are not equal. Drop by drop, we will advance our goal. We will take over their land, resources, and wealth to exercise total control over them. We will deceive them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom they will have. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. When they shall band together, we shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world, for we shall own all the media. We will use our media to control the flow of information and the sentiment in our favor. When they shall rise up against us, we will crush them like insects, for they are less than that. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapons. We will recruit some of their own to carry out our plans. We will promise them eternal life, but eternal life they will never have, for they are not of us. The recruits will be called initiates, and will be indoctrinated to believe false rites of passage to higher realms. Members of these groups will think they are one with us, never knowing the truth. They must never learn the truth, for they will turn against us. For their work, they will be rewarded with earthly things and great titles, but never will they become immortal and join us. Never will they receive the light and travel the stars. They will never reach the higher realms, for the killing of their own kind will prevent passage to the realm of enlightenment. This they will never know. The truth will be hidden in their face, so close they will not be able to focus on it until it is too late. Oh, yes, so grand the illusion of freedom will be that they will never know that they are our slaves. When all is in place, the reality we have created for them will own them. This reality will be their prison. They will live in a self delusion. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of domination will begin. Their minds will be bound by their beliefs, the beliefs we have established from time immemorial. But if they ever find out they are our equal, we shall perish. This they must never know. If they ever find out that together they can vanquish us, they will take action. They must never, ever find out what we have done, for if they do, we shall have no place to run. For it will be easy to see who we are. The veil, once the veil has fallen, our action will have revealed who we are, and they will hunt us down, and no person shall give us shelter. This is the secret covenant by which we shall live the rest of our present and future lives, for this reality will transcend many generations in lifespans. This covenant is sealed by blood, our blood, we the ones who from heaven to earth came. This covenant must never, ever be known to exist. It must never, ever be written or spoken of, for if it is, the consciousness it will spawn will release the fury of the prime creator upon us, and we shall be cast to the depths from whence we came and remain there until the end of time of infinity itself. And then it's got this comparison here to Adolf Hitler. When Adolf Hitler was building his powerhouse base in Germany, some people woke up and realized what was going on. Some were sounding the alarm to what they saw was happening, but these people were largely ignored. Some Jews listened and left the country. Some Germans listened and left. Those who ignored the warnings soon found themselves living in tyranny and wondered how it could have happened. The same warning signs are being shouted from the rooftops in Australia and America today. Yet people are too busy with the everyday things to stop and think. As in the 1930s, people are going to be shocked when they lose their freedoms. How fortunate for governance that people they administer don't think. Everyone who ignores what is going on will suffer for their indecision when plans and comfortable circumstances dissolve around them. Such people will be unable to avoid their fate because all avenues of escape will be closed. They will continue to be controlled and manipulated like a flock of sheep and know it not. They will be slaves, while those who have woken up and prepared both physically and spiritually will be in a far stronger situation, understanding what is happening and why. Troubled times will be upon us all, but is it not better to be informed and able to act than ignorant, confused, and lost? Everything I have written above is truth that I have established through documented research, not based on conjecture or personal beliefs. It is provable. I'm not asking you for to believe any of it, but I'm asking you for to look into it yourself and see. You know, you got to think. The Nazis and all of this. We took on all of their scientists. You know, Germany and um, the Third Reich. Germany never lost that World War. Actually, you know, I know it appeared like that in his story, right? History, the way that we've seen it. But, Operation Paperclip, I have a book right over here on Operation Paperclip, right? Where we had covert programs to actually bring their whole shit right over here to America. The whole nine, right here. And then we began, different programs later on that ended up becoming, MK Ultra, which was, trauma based mind control, which was basically government, satanic ritual abuse, and, the Montauk projects and all these different things that ended up, Oppenheimer Project, Manhattan Project, all these different things, right? You know, and it's all what I think is really the craziest thing. I'm going to actually play a video here in a second, a piece of it. But a lot of people believe that this actually began with President Eisenhower. President Eisenhower and uh, his treaty with the Greys. Remember, Luciferian, it's the gray, it's the black and the white, the checkerboard floor, right? Like the neutral, right? The equal and opposite effects. You know, we got to think about the symbolism and the language and all this as we listen to this here. You know, and we're I don't know if we'll play the whole thing, but um, you know, he warned everybody about the military industrial complex. And the reason that they'll say, oh, well, they got to tell you things. You know what? The reason they're telling you is because they're performing a ritual on you, right? They're putting the thought out there into it. That way you'll accept it with your own free will and do it to yourself. That way they don't take on the karma for it. So I just, it's not because they have to tell you or some bullshit like that. These are just people that don't understand how magic works that say it that way. They just don't get it because they don't understand. They don't practice, right? But anybody that does and really knows witchcraft and how to really grab a hold of somebody's fucking nugget and take a hold of it themselves, that's what you do. You tell them what's actually happening, what you're actually doing to them, and then they accept the idea themselves and they take off and run with it, right? They do all the footwork for you, right? That's what happens with this satanic world system, the whole thing, right? You sell your soul to Satan, right? And you do all the footwork for him. You get what I'm saying? Right? You become an agent of that. That's what happens when you become hexed, right? When you're hexed, you have energy or bad juju attached to you. The only way this bad energy can even cling to you is if you have negative karma to start with. And we're all sinful by nature, right? We all have this. So we all have a little something for that to latch onto. So everybody is susceptible to this. Now I'm going to play this video here. And this is where all of this, kind of alien shit really starts to, begin. And I want you to think about how all of this disclosure shit is starting to unravel now with the UAPs and all this shit, right? Okay. In the year 1954. Remember, ones in numerology and zeros don't count, right? So 9, 5 plus 4 is 9. That's 9, 9, right? 9, 9. Nines are completions, right? After the U.S. government rejected overtures, right? Overtures from Nordic, meaning north, right? Other north, meaning the hidden space, the deep Pleiadian aliens, say conspiracy theorists. So from the ones from the heavens, they rejected, right? Instead, they did it with the grades, right? The Luciferian. Okay, hold on. Do we not have sound here? Hold on. Hold on, guys. Do we not have sound here? Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, there we go. We should be okay now. Sorry about that. It's didn't let the whole fucking thing play here.
Gray aliens signed treaty with Eisenhower in 1954, after U.S. government rejected overtures from Nordic or Pleiadian aliens, say conspiracy theorists. President Dwight Eisenhower held a secret meeting with extraterrestrial visitors during the early hours of February 21, 1954, while on a vacation to Palm Springs in California, according to UFO and alien conspiracy theorists. He went missing after he was whisked away secretly to Edwards Air Force Base and was not seen until he appeared at a church service in Los Angeles the next Sunday morning. The official explanation of his mysterious disappearance was that he had to undergo an emergency dental surgery. The abrupt disappearance of the president was so unusual that it fueled speculation about an illness or death in the media. The speculation became so intense that the rumors had to be dispelled by the president's press secretary, James Haggerty, who told incredulous reporters at a press conference that Eisenhower had damaged a tooth cap while eating fried chicken and had to undergo emergency surgery. Gray alien visitors. An artist's representation of gray aliens who allegedly signed a treaty with the Eisenhower administration. A local dentist was later presented to reporters who claimed he had treated Eisenhower. But strange rumors began spreading following information leaked by well-placed sources. The rumors alleged that the local dentist was used to provide Eisenhower with a cover story while he rendezvoused secretly with the extraterrestrial visitors at the Edwards Air Force Base. Significantly, there are no records at the Eisenhower Library, which reportedly has extensive records related to Eisenhower's health, that he ever.
And I want to kind of give you, you know, and these, and I want you to think about like the Montauk Project and things like that. What actually happens in these underground bases is not what we're told by a lot of the people, you know, on YouTube and all of this. It's actually, you know, experimentation, you know, and satanic ritual abuse, right? Where they're traumatizing people in order to fracture them and fragment their psyches and consciousness in order to create alter egos within their personas, right? To inject other entity or demons, right, within them. So when they're talking about going into these underground bases, right, and having these, you know, conferences with extraterrestrials, they're actually talking about, you know, doing rituals with demonic entities.
Underwent dental surgery in February 1954, according to UFO researcher William Moore. Eisenhower thus became the first American president to have direct contact with extraterrestrials, according to conspiracy theorists. The meeting took place at Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California during the early hours of February 21 in 1954. It was the first in a series of meetings that culminated in the signing of a treaty between the U.S. government and an extraterrestrial race called the Greys. The first contact meeting, as it is termed in UFO conspiracy theory circles, involved some intrigue. Eisenhower's secret first contact meeting on February 21, 1954, is believed to have been with the Nordic aliens, also known as Pleiadian aliens, an advanced extraterrestrial race from the Pleiades star cluster with distinctive Nordic appearance, such as fair hair, blue eyes, and white skin. The two sides were unable to reach an agreement on the night of the first contact, and
which these would be like the Nordic, the blonde hair, blue eyes. Remember, you know, the Mayans and all this when they were conquered and shit like that. They were expecting the return of Quetzalcoatl, which was, you know, a giant white guy with blonde hair, blue eyes, and all of this. But that's not who returned, right? Because these gods are always supposed to return.
Greys took advantage of the failure by offering more favorable terms. The offer by the Greys allegedly led to the first treaty between humans and an extraterrestrial race. According to UFO conspiracy theorists, several pieces of circumstantial evidence add up to support claims that the Eisenhower administration held first contact meetings with extraterrestrial beings. The first circumstantial evidence was the awkward manner in which Eisenhower disappeared during the night of February 20th to 21st in the midst of an unscheduled winter vacation in Palm Springs, California, and
the awkward manner in which he disappeared. This is the same thing you see within celebrities. When you've sold your soul, you have an alter ego, right? So there's an altar within you, right, where the demon, the entity, can actually enter within the vessel and inhabit you. So he would get. It's not a physical disappearance that's being described, that's taking place. It's a spiritual disappearance, right? So, and this is going to be hard for a lot of people to accept, because see, psyops are so fucking, they're so detailed and so deep, and so many people have bought into them wholeheartedly, right, and subscribe to them so passionately that people just will refuse to accept what I'm saying right now. There's just going to be people that just will refuse to accept what's being told to them right now, no matter what their intuition is telling them, right? They're so invested into these cultures, these alien cultures, these disclosure cultures, all of this, that they will, their egos won't allow them to admit that they've been duped, just the same way that people won't give up on their religions and shit like that.
clumsy efforts by officials to explain his disappearance. One of the first eyewitness testimonies came from Gerald Light, a writer and leading member of the community dedicated to metaphysical research.
Right. And I want you to think about symbolism within language too. Gerald Light, G7, God, right? G, this is Freemasonry, right? Light, right? The last name Light. So they're telling you this is how the language works. And I'm just trying to tell you, this is really how it works. They will tell you things in plain sight. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here on how to decode psyops. So you can accept it or not.
Circulated widely in the UFO and alien conspiracy community, dated April 16, 1954, is alleged to have been written by Gerald Light to Mead Lane, director of Borderland Sciences Research Foundation. In the letter, Light allegedly claimed to have been one of a group of community leaders who was present at the first contact meeting with extraterrestrials at Edwards Air Force Base. Gerald Light's letter. Mr. Mead Lane, San Diego, California. My dear friend, I have just returned from Muroc. The report is true. Devastatingly true. I made the journey in company with Franklin Allen of the Hearst Papers and Edwin Norse of Brookings Institute, Truman's erstwhile financial advisor, and Bishop McIntyre of LA. Confidential names for the present, please. When we were allowed to enter the restricted section, after about 6 hours in which we were checked on every possible item, event, incident and aspect of our personal and public lives, I had the distinct feeling that the world had come to an end with fantastic realism. For I have never seen so many human beings in a state of complete collapse and confusion as they realized that their own world had indeed ended with such finality as to beggar description. The reality of other plane aeroforms is now and forever removed from the realisms of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. During my 2 days visit I saw 5 separate and distinct types of aircraft being studied and handled by our Air Force officials with the assistance and permission of the Etherians.
Okay, and so, just once again, we're looking at the language, like the Muroc and all this is probably the entity that they were summoning. They're saying we were allowed to enter the restricted section. I mean, that would be the ritual. It's restricted. It's prohibited. It's a satanic ritual after about 6 hours, right? Which we were checked every possible item. They went through the list of the ritual and every aspect of the personal and public lives of people involved in the ritual. I had the distinct feeling that the world had come to an end with fantastic realism, for I have never seen so many human beings in a state of complete collapse and confusion. It's a fallen state, right, of collapse. They're shattered by the entity inhabiting them and taking over them, that their world had indeed ended with much finality. They had sold themselves over to the beginning description, the reality of other plane aeroforms, right? Meaning, remember, planets, planes of existence, other planes, these are entities, deities, angels, right? Aeroforms outside, right? In the air, is now forever removed from the realm of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. During my 2 days visit, I saw 5 separate, right, and the 2 and the 5 and all of this, right? This is, the 2 brothers, the 5 starfish body, the distinct types of aircraft being studied and handled by our Air Force officials with the assistance, permission of the Etherians, right? These are the ethereal entities. So I'm trying to tell you, this is how the language works. This is, and for some people, they're going to say, what is this guy talking about? But this is really how it works. And, some people will probably have to watch this 2 or 3 times, and other people will just never accept it.
I have no words to express my reactions. It has finally happened. It is now a matter of history. President Eisenhower, as you may already know, was spirited over to Muroc one night during his visit to Palm Springs
Was spirited over to Muroc. Like I said, Muroc was probably the entity.
recently. And it is my conviction that he will ignore the terrific conflict between the various authorities and go directly to the people via radio and television, if the impasse continues much longer.
Radio and television, these are different forms of frequency, right? Frequency, these are broadcast, right? You're casting a spell.
From what I could gather, an official statement to the country is being prepared for delivery about the middle of May. I will leave it to your own excellent.
And remember, May Day and all this is the communist, all of this shit, right? So, like, you have to really understand all of the origins and history, and it takes a whole lot to really, kind of like put you on the level with this. But I'll leave it to your own excellent powers of deduction to construct a fitting picture of the mental and emotional pandemonium that is now shattering the consciousness of hundreds of our scientific authorities, right? So this is shattering the consciousness. That is what satanic ritual abuse and trauma-based mind control and demonic possession and attachment and all that is all about, right? Causing pain, causing fear, causing negative emotion, to cause a fracture within the spirit, to cause a fracture within the consciousness, to cause a crack, right? Because whenever they cause that crack, right, that fracture, this is what happens because the human body is designed, right? We forget negativity, right? We release and we repress negativity, right? Bad experience. And this is why people nowadays have the memories of goldfishes, right? They're pounded so much through movies and radio and the internet, with violence and all of these traumatic images. Every time you see something like that, it goes against your nature, right? It's a traumatic blow and impact to your consciousness, to your spiritual self. And when that blow hits, what happens is a fragmentation, right? The connection's broken. That flow, that universal flow of oneness, because division, right? Violence, right? An act of killing one another. Remember the secret covenant, because they had killed their own, right? When you see that act, it causes a disruption in the connection or the flow of consciousness, and a fracture happens. And when that splits, right, that's what allows the altar to be created. And that altar is where the entity comes in, right, and establishes the connection. So this is how ritual abuse works. This is how mind control works. This is why they pound you with all the images and propaganda and all of this the way that they do. So this is all we're going to look at of this video here. I've got more stuff I want to cover, right? But I'm just trying to show you. No audio on the clip. Well, I think I fixed the audio. So, this is how all of this works. And I know this is kind of, a long-winded, kind of far out there way to look at it. But, what we're actually seeing here is we're getting to the zero-sum game here of all of this. Right. And this executive order is definitely telling us that we're really close. Meanwhile, and we're going to kind of go through the news as we do this too. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is signed with Hollywood talent agency CAA. Breaking Kamala Harris. Remember, Hollywood. This is Babylon, right? All of this, right? So she's part of the system too. This is showing you that these what was appearing to be these two separate powers were they're both on the same side. Kamala Harris is signed with Hollywood talent agency CAA, joining former presidents Obama and Biden after losing their bid to President Trump. Actors on the world stage. All presidents are actors. Politics is a true clown show. Right? It's a true clown show. And we're seeing the signs too, the all over the world with these different natural disasters and weird things that are happening, which we're gonna show some of that too, like the flooded Detroit neighborhood turning into ice. This is just a weird one right here. Right? And we're starting to see too, like the oarfish and all these things, that certain creatures that only come up at the top of the ocean, right before the ocean waters recede, and all kind of magnetic flips and everything that are starting to happen. Water main break in southwest Detroit flooded several streets, impacting at least a square mile and 150 to 200 homes. The Great Lakes Water Authority is working to isolate and break the remove from the water of the road. Still epic. They want you to forget the insanity that happened in 2020, 2022. No one seems to care.
I don't care, but I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes. Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. Crazy. So nice. So nice.
Maybe I have lost it, but the world has gone mad, and no one seems to notice. I hear echoes of insanity drift through the air.
The vaccine.
No one seems to notice. No one seems to care.
Right? Isn't that crazy though? She's literally bragging about getting all those and falls over and dies on the fucking stage. Crazy shit, ain't it? Armed men guarding the streets of Lincoln Heights, stopping cars and vetting passerbys. Now, you know what this actually reminds me of? And I've covered this story many times over the years, right? The New York ICE agent from Pier 40 that was 40 years old, blew his brains out and all that. Remember, he was talking about, the plan to take over America, that it would be started by them saying that there was a threat by illegal aliens, and that they were ramping up the federal ICE and all of that for that. And he goes on to talk about how he couldn't live with it anymore, because they were practicing shooting at cardboard cutouts of men, women, and children. They were told to get used to it and all of that. You guys will probably, remember this. And and that they would have the economic collapse, and that when the economic collapse happened, which they're predicting a 40% drop in the stock markets this year, that when the economic collapse would happen, that they would knock out, all information, the power grid, and all this. And I went to, Elon Musk and what he's doing with the banking systems and all of this. They are coordinating this fucking thing. They are coordinating this thing. I think it's really about to go live, like really soon. And that people, you'll go to the ATM, you won't be able to get money out. Everybody will, and they'll freak out. And when they cut all the power and all the internet and communication, nobody will be able to get the word out to each other that these guys are going and they're picking up the ones that they deem threats, right? And see, and at this time, the agent, goes on to talk about how at the federal agencies, remember, they're revamping Guantanamo Bay and all these things, right? To hold 30,000 fucking people, right? Like, they're doing this. This is fact, right? This is under Trump, right? In 2025 too. And remember, this is the year of the snake, and the serpent sheds its skin, right? It's a reset. Okay. So just so you know. He talks about how they would be given the signal at the federal prisons, and they turn on a gas system, and it would actually kill all the illegals that were there to make room for the American citizens that they were gonna do these hits at the the 0 hour, which Netflix has a new series coming out, or a new movie coming out called 0 Day. Even, I mean, it's literally like, I think it's shit. I mean, I can show you here. It's where they're literally talking about doing exactly what I'm telling you. Netflix. Let's take a look at the trailer here.
Two people died. 3,402 people died on 0 Day.
Absolute nationwide terror.
Computer systems completely hijacked.
A significant number of.
He said they would say it was a cyber
Every phone in
attack.
America displayed the same haunting message. This will happen again.
Mullen, thanks for coming.
Madam President, so what's the plan?
Congress is authorizing a special 0 Day commission, hunting down anyone who aided and abetted this horrific attack.
You're just going to grab people off the streets without warrants.
Actually, you are.
This is the greatest affront to civil liberties ever attempted.
Ex-President George Mullen is not only a wannabe tyrant, he's a deeply troubled man. I'm on to you, Georgie.
Sir, is there something going on here that you're not telling me about?
Prove to me you are of sound mind, or I will tell the country that you are not.
If the mob storms the castle and comes for all of our heads, everyone's going to be in trouble.
Do you think he's being set up?
Another attack could happen at any moment.
I'm worried that you don't have this under control.
Well, I run this investigation, not the White House, not the CIA.
If the public finds out how deep this really is, I don't think we survive that.
Yeah. So hauntingly similar, right? Hauntingly similar. You know. Just saying. Just saying. Right. For context, that's Black's neighborhood that Nazi feds thought they could march through with their flags out, and they got their asses beaten and their flags burned. Residents of that neighborhood have armed themselves and started being vigilant. Nobody has been harmed. Apparently, feds are less scary than black men with guns. Right? And notice in that trailer too, they had the black lady that was the president, right? So it's like giving you once again like that dystopic deception of like, oh well, this is what would have happened if Kamala would have won, right? Like to make you think you're safe from it now. Right? No. They knew who was going to win the whole time. Southern Indiana man arrested for alleged death threats towards Elon Musk, right? This is the dynamic duo. This is Batman and Robin here, right? Musk and Trump. A threat on social media, right? If he doesn't like Musk's politics, he shouldn't have waited until July 4th, 2026. That is when DOGE should expire. DOGE should expire. A Harrison County, Indiana man has been arrested for allegedly posting death threats towards Elon Musk on X, formerly Twitter. Indiana State Police said they were contacted by Texas authorities early Tuesday morning, claiming 28-year-old David Cherry had threatened Musk on social media earlier in February. ISP began an investigation and found Cherry in Clarksville, where he was reportedly arrested without incident. Cherry was taken to the Sellersburg Post for further questioning. Police then obtained a search warrant at Cherry's Palmyra home, where they say they found an AR-15 style rifle, handgun, ammunition, and a ballistic vest from the residence. Cherry's been charged with intimidation. He's currently being held in Harrison County Jail without bond. This is that same lone wolf fucking narrative, right? Banning assault weapons and shit like that, like the whole gun control type of shit, which Trump signed an executive order like reversing some of the Biden gun control shit. So it's like, so I'm telling you, what I'm starting to really pick up on is that what a lot of what we're seeing with these executive orders is like the ban on federal censorship, the reversal of the Biden gun control shit, and all of the true genders, all of this stuff. It is so you will become laxed and feel comfortable in being vocal, in showing where you truly reside, right, within the line in the sand, right? You'll now be comfortable with the censorship ban to say whatever you truly want to say. The reversal of the Biden gun bans, people will now go out and buy weapons. They'll know who's doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is, nothing's really changed to that such an extent. It all sounds really good, and it seems like the system is falling down, and it is, right? But what's being put up in its place is what you have to ask yourself. And with the latest executive order, everything being held accountability, all agency to the presidency. That's one ruler, right? That's it's leaning in that direction. So just saying, okay, just saying. And DOGE reportedly cuts FDA employees investigating Neuralink. The FDA previously found Musk company was engaging in objectionable conditions or practices. The purging of federal employees carried out by the Department of Government Efficiency. Remember the expiration date in 2026, right? Which would be an 8-year, right? Or no, that would be 8-10. So, 2026 somehow just keeps getting cut, and that's what they just said in the previous article. Cutting staffers, and that's the expiration date, involved in investing in Elon Musk companies, according to reports from Reuters. And remember, Reuters and the U.S. aid and all that, they were paid fucking billions of dollars, right? Like, and government, propaganda and disinformation. So just saying. Several employees at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration who were tasked with managing reviews and applications related to Musk's Neuralink received pink slips over the weekend, per Reuters. 20 people who worked in the FDA's Office of Neurological and Physical Medicine Devices got axed as part of a broader effort being carried out by DOGE to cut down federal workforce. Several of those employees worked directly on Neuralink, Musk's company that produces brain-computer interfaces designed to be implanted in a human brain, and were tasked with reviewing clinical trial applications. Remember, Trump is getting rid of the FDIC, all of this shit, right? Like, and everything's sounding really good, but you really need to start thinking on the train of like what's being put in its place. Well, the sources of Reuters spoke and said, and I just don't think a lot of people have enough foresight for that. It's like we're just so thrilled to be getting the wins and feel like we're winning. We're being lulled into this like relaxed posture and like this victory formation when the game's not over, right? Well, the sources Reuters spoke to said that they did not think those employees were specifically targeted. The reduction of workers within the medical devices office isn't going to make things any easier for companies with like Neuralink, which likely wants to see the approval processes speed up, right? Like this, appears to me, this seems to be the mark right here, the Neuralink. The Neuralink. Remember COVID-19. This is the great reset, right? So this is when it all begins, like that was like a 9/11, and think about all these plane crashes and shit. All of them are going down on 11 days and shit too. It's all like 9/11, right? All these different numerological variations of 11 days, by the way, right? So it's all the 9/11 variations, all these plane crashes, weird shit, right? That's happening just recently. And this is how it always works here. And, you could remember that, nobody would be able to buy or sell without the mark, right? And being worship to the image of the beast, right? And the image is the phantom, the projection, the illusion. So that would be like the Antichrist himself. Target or not, it's noteworthy just how frequently people involved in regulating Musk-owned companies are getting hit by DOGE-initiated layoffs. According to a report from the New York Times, at least 11 federal agencies targeted by DOGE cuts have ongoing related to Musk firms. A total of 32 investigations, complaints, and enforcement actions that seem likely to either grind to a halt or disappear as a result of staff reductions. Neuralink, in particular, seems to have benefited from efforts to squash watchdogs. Last month, the Inspector General at the U.S. Department of Agriculture had to be removed from her office by security after refusing to comply with her termination, which she believed was illegal. She happened to be heading up an investigation into Neuralink. looking into whether the company was violating animal welfare rules related to its test on animal subjects. The FDA, too, has been looking into similar issues. Last year, the agency found that Neuralink's animal labs engaged in objectionable conditions or practices and urged the company to address the issues, but did not issue any punitive actions related to the investigation. Neuralink and the FDA also had a standoff over allowing the company to move forward with human trials, a request that the FDA rejected over safety risks in 2022 before finally allowing limited trials to move forward a year later. In 2024, the FDA even gave Neuralink its breakthrough device designation, which allows for a speedier review process. The only thing faster might be no review at all. So, yeah. The question is what's coming? The end of democracy? Yay, there it is. So it begins the next 4 years where all Elon's projects get passed and uncontested, right? Neuralink in the news, and that's what we just looked at. USDA said it accidentally fired officials working on bird flu and is trying to rehire them.
Several USDA employees working on the country's response to bird flu were accidentally fired over the weekend, and now the government is trying to get them back. The agency acknowledged the error in a statement today, saying they're working to swiftly rectify the situation and rescind those letters. Egg prices have continued to soar as bird flu has spread. The latest data from the USDA shows 151 confirmed flocks have been hit, affecting 23 million birds. So far, the CDC has confirmed 68 cases of bird flu among humans in the U.S.
And the price of eggs in South America is like an all-time low. It's weird how they're not being affected by bird flu at all. Just America, I guess. I don't know. So, but hey, similar to those working for the nuclear programs. Bill Gates warns young people of 4 major global threats, including AI. But try not to worry, kids. In brief, Bill Gates has an ominous warning for young people that there are 4 or 5 very scary things that they should be afraid of. In addition to the persistent fear of nuclear war, the Microsoft founder says unchecked AI is also a threat. In an interview with Patrick Collinson, Gates said the only thing he really worried about a lot when he was younger was nuclear war. While that particular concern hasn't disappeared, Gates says younger generations now have extra threats to society that they must live with: climate change, bioterrorism, and other pandemic, and maintaining control of advanced AI.
Tron-like stuff. So I thought the internet sounded amazing. And then when I finally got the slow dial-up, I was like, wait, this is what everyone's excited about? But there was a book about this guy, Bill Gates, and how he started a company in his teens that I thought was pretty cool. So anyway, that's what I learned in Tipperary. So it's...
Right, and remember, he did Windows and viruses and shit for that. And then, vaccines and viruses and shit for that, right? So there have been plenty of previous warnings about AI advancing too quickly, reaching a point where it becomes smarter than humans and decides the world would be better off without using us in it. A survey in 2023 found that 2/3 of Americans believed AI could threaten civilization, and Professor Jeffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, believed there could be an AI that presents an extinction level event in 5 to 20 years. Hinton left Google in 2023 due to concerns that AI, was advancing faster than expected and could become uncontrollable. And think about Google; they just changed their creed or whatever, right? Which they weren't going to use AI for harmful systems and stuff like that. They've now changed that. They're now doing that. So Gates isn't anti-AI though. He believes that the technology could be used for good such as filling skill gaps. We don't have as many medical experts, people who can stay on top of everything, or people who can do math tutoring in the inner city, Gates said, and we have a shortage of intelligence. So we use this market system to kind of allocate it. AI over time, and people can argue about time frames, will make it intelligence essentially free. It might sound as if Gates is painting a pessimistic view for young people, but provided the highlighted risks are avoided, he thinks their future is going to be bright. The billionaire believes obesity, Alzheimer's, HIV, polio, measles, and malaria will be addressed or wiped out completely. The pace of innovation is greater today than ever, Gates said. And play a quick video here.
我中国人民解放军有足够的力量扫除一切障碍。
A tsunami of slaughter bots and terminators are coming, and most people are totally unaware as they're glued to their cell phones celebrating technology. But according to tech insiders, an extermination is coming. All those that won't take the mark of the beast, the brain chip and the like, will be exterminated, and that process has already begun, according to weapons experts, and they've become highly efficient at it. What we're learning is that cell towers have been weaponized and they're already taking people out. This information is starting to come out in congressional hearings, but the truth will shock you. People are being attacked right now in their homes by invisible technology. It's made to look like climate change, heart attacks, strokes, natural causes. If you've been feeling the 5G symptoms, if you've been feeling off since the rollout of 5G, chronic fatigue, recurring headaches, pain not associated with an injury, including recurring back problems, you're probably being targeted by this system already. Everything you need to know about what's going on is in this book, Transhuman Genocide, that we keep recommending to people. It shows you how to defend yourself from these weapons. Be sure to check out that book, Transhuman Genocide, on Amazon, because otherwise you're not going to survive.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but you see too, when dude just fell over, he was literally like, he turned around, he was like looking, he's like grabbing at his back, right? And your spinal cord, that was just a kind of a weird, and then he falls out, and freezes up the same way that lockup that we see all these people, athletes and everything, ever since they've been taking all these jabs and shit all across the world, seizing the fuck up, and just whoosh, killing over. So weird shit, man. Weird shit. We're in an interesting time. People call it doom and gloom and fear porn and all that shit, and all the new age fairy glitter bullshit it's fun and it's good, and it sounds great, it does. But I think there might be just a little bit of premature celebration going on right now in the truther communities and shit like that. Just a little premature, right? I don't think it's over yet. Remember, the Bible says that it'll be safety and security before sudden destruction. So, and I'm not saying that You have to believe the Bible or whatever, but I'm saying that's the program they're on. That's the one they're running. So, okay? You can take it or leave it, dude. For anyone confused on how Doge was created or even allowed to exist, here's a little bit of history. Wrote a small post about Doge and history 2 days ago. And anti-Doge shills and glowies, eternally be me, lawyer, actually reads Trump's Doge executive order, expecting some illegal power grab, but it's airtight. Turns out Trump and Musk didn't create shit. Obama did. Obama created United States Digital Service, USDS, in 2014. Was meant to fix Big Mike's tranny BFF's website after it launched as a flaming pile of DEI shit. Bureaucratic patch job to fix the Obamacare website meltdown. Fast forward to 2025, Trump rebrands it DOGE, United States DOGE Service, keeps the acronym, keeps the funding, but gives it a whole new mission: find the receipts. Legally untouchable because it was already fully funded and operational. Trump invokes 5 United States Code 3161. Remember, the ones in numerology don't count, right? So 3 plus 6 is 9. That's completion. Game over, motherfucker, right? 3-6 is a 666 also, so, which allows him to create temporary hiring authorities. And remember, if we get into the Illuminati card game and all of this too, the Trump enough is enough card, right? Obama, BOB, 13013, like this, they're on the same team, y'all, whether you think so or not. Each team consists of a lawyer. Doge teams gets embedded inside. Trump evokes 5 U.S. Code 3161, which allows him to create temporary hiring authorities. Doge team, and remember, Obama had Executive Order 13603 as well, which was, that's a national defense resource preparedness, right? Executive Order 13603, National Defense Resource Preparedness by the authority vested in the Constitution and law of the United States. The United States must have an industrial and technological base capable of meeting national defense requirements and capable of contributing to the technological superiority of its national defense. And what this does, this is the most fucked up executive order besides like Rex 84. That was a pretty shit one too. But the general functions are identify the requirements. And so executive departments and agencies, refer to the very beginning of the video, right? The agencies responsible for plans and programs, like now are responsible all to the president. Get me? Relating to national defense as defined in section 801, right, of this order, and for resources and services needed to support such plans and programs shall A, identify requirements for the full spectrum of emergencies, including essential military and civilian demand, assess an ongoing basis the capability of the domestic and industrial and technological base to satisfy requirements in peacetime and times of national emergency, specifically evaluating the availability of the most critical resource and production sources, including subcontractors, suppliers, materials, skilled labor, professional technical personnel. C, be prepared in the event of a potential threat to the security of the United States to take actions necessary to ensure the availability of adequate resources and production capability, including services and critical technology for national defense requirements. D, improve the efficiency and responsiveness of the domestic industrial base to support national defense requirements. Foster cooperation between the defense and commercial sectors. And this is basically to take all the fucking resources from all of the people. They can go and take all the food in your fucking house. Then here's priorities and allocations. The Secretary of Agriculture with respect to food resources, food resource facilities, livestock resources, veterinary resources, plant health resources, domestic distribution of farm equipment, commercial fertilizer. Secretary of Energy with respect to all forms of energy. The Secretary of Health and Human Services with respect to health resources. The Secretary of Transportation with respect to all forms of civil transportation, the Secretary of Defense with respect to water resources, and the Secretary of Commerce with respect to all other materials, services, and facilities, including construction materials. The secretary of each agency delegated authority under subsection of this section resource department shall plan for and issue regulations to prioritize and allocate resources and establish standards and procedures by which the authority shall be used to promote the national defense under both emergency and non-emergency conditions. Each secretary shall authorize the heads of other agencies at appropriate places to priority ratings on contracts and orders for materials. They can take it all under every one of these fucking things. From your ass, my ass, all our asses. Expansion and productive capacity and supply, right? Guaranteeing the agency is designated and authorized to act as fiscal agents, making of its own guaranteed contracts, otherwise carrying out the purposes of 301 of the Act. Contract with any federal bank to assist the agency in serving as the fiscal agent. This goes on and on of all the things they can take control over in an emergency. Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Transportation, Energy, Homeland Security, National Intelligence, Central Intelligence Agency, Council of Economic Advisors, Administration of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And there's your NASA. That's why Trump didn't kick NASA out, right? The Administrator of General Services. Telling you. General provisions, civil transportation, energy, farm equipment, fertilizer. And I'm just going to show you just how, look, any product or combination of products that contains one or more elements of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium for use as plant nutrients. Food resources means all commodities and products, simple, mixed, or compound, or complements to such commodities or products that are capable of being ingested by either human beings or animals. They'll even take your fucking dog food. Irrespective of other uses to which such commodities or products may be put at all stages of processing, from raw commodity to the product thereof in vendable form for human or animal consumption. Food resources also means portable water packages and commercially marketable containers, all starches, sugar, vegetables, and animals or marine fats. Food resource facilities, head of each agency, it goes on and on and on. And think about who Trump and stuff has put in the head of all these agencies. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., like all these like libertarian, like it's like they've recruited like the all-star team of everybody, you know, on the right. And oh man, you know, and people are just fucking, they've been okey doked completely. It's like now everybody's just pure pro-government. Like, oh yeah, we're kicking ass. We're winning now. The whole team is together. Yeah, we got it. You know, it's like, whew. You know, okay. Sure, buddy. Whatever you say. Back to this, though. Each team consists of a lawyer, HR rep, Zet, Zoomer, nerd, investigator. They report to DOGE, not the agency they're embedded in. But wait, there's more. Trump invokes 44 United States Code Chapter 35, which governs federal IT and cybersecurity oversight. Remember that, you know, the federal ICE agents said it would be like, that's a cyber attack. That's a 0-day shit, right? This is what that looks like. They're getting ready to rock on us. I'm just keeping it all the way real with you. Since USDS was originally an IT oversight body, DOGE now has full access to all federal data systems. Yes, all of them. Executive orders is written and block legal challenges, including language that overrides conflicting executive orders. It don't matter. Don't matter. Any conflicting executive order, all of it, the whole shit. The whole shit. The whole shit. And establishing, implementing President's Department of Government Efficiency. The purpose of the executive order establishes the Department of Government Efficiency to implement the President's DOGE agenda by modernizing federal technology and software to maximize government efficiency and productivity. Right? So he's just modernizing the DOGE structure that already existed. The United States Digital Service, hereby publicly renamed as DOGE Service. And Elon Musk put in charge. So they achieved teleportation using a quantum supercomputer like magic. Scientists claim to have achieved teleportation using a quantum supercomputer. Oxford scientists have just achieved a major breakthrough in quantum computing, teleporting logical quantum gates between separate processors. This could solve the scalability problem, making large-scale quantum supercomputers a reality. It even brings us closer to a quantum internet where data is transferred instantly and securely. Right? And this is 6G, where it's no longer the 5th generation technology where it's millimeter wave that makes water molecules rotate, right? It's conscious wave, right? Whole next level shit where they can read your thoughts.
Imagine a world where computers can solve complex problems in seconds, problems that today's most powerful supercomputers would take billions of years to crack. A world where information can be transmitted instantly across vast distances, secured not by human-made encryption, but by the very laws of physics. That future might be closer than ever, thanks to a groundbreaking discovery by scientists at the University of Oxford. They have successfully teleported logical quantum gates between separate quantum processors, a breakthrough that could reshape the future.
Thank you for the donation, Eric.
In this video, we will break down this incredible breakthrough, explore how it works, why it's so important, and what it means for the future of quantum computing. Quantum teleportation is not about physically moving objects like in science fiction. Instead, it involves transferring information instantaneously from one place to another, using a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. When two quantum particles become entangled, their states are linked no matter how far apart they are. If one particle's state changes, the other changes instantly, as if they were still connected. This is what Einstein famously referred to as spooky action at a distance. What makes Oxford's achievement remarkable is that they did not just teleport a single quantum state. They teleported logical quantum gates, the essential building blocks of quantum algorithms. In traditional computing, logic gates perform operations on bits, the zeros and ones that store and process information. In quantum computing, these operations are performed on quantum bits or qubits, which can exist in multiple states simultaneously due to a property known as superposition. Previously, quantum teleportation had been used to transfer quantum states between physically separated systems. However, the Oxford team went further by using teleportation to create interactions between these distant systems. By carefully controlling these interactions, they successfully performed logical quantum operations between qubits housed in separate quantum processors. This effectively means they wired together distinct quantum processors into a single, fully connected system without needing any direct physical link between them.
And so, like, think about it. The first one was like physical to physical, like the transferring of thought from me to you. Now it's like transferring of your thought without you even being engaged into it, into a fucking D-Wave computer, basically. Right? That's global. Whole system connected across the planet. Starlink, D-Wave, CERN, right? They've implemented the whole fucking system on us right underneath our nose. And now we've got this whole DOGE, which is the whole digital thing, and it's just been renamed, right, from Obama and the administration and revamped, right? And just like, you know, the whole pizza file shit and all of that from round one, and all the Q-tard fuck shit and all of that. What came of that, by the way? Anybody remember? Not a motherfucking thing. Not a motherfucking thing came of that. Do you remember what actually happened at the end of all that? I do. Everybody that would actually behind it was left holding the motherfucking bag, and all the J6ers and shit went to jail. Right? What do you think is going to happen on this round?
This discovery directly addresses the scalability challenge in quantum computing. Traditional quantum computers face severe limitations when adding more qubits to a.
And don't think just because they pardoned all the J6ers and shit like that, they just pardoned the federal fucking actors and agents and disinfo fuckheads that were in there. You know, those couple thousand people. Okay? You know, these were people like working at InfoWars and shit. You know what I mean? Like, those weren't regular motherfuckers like you and me.
A single processor due to increased error rates and decoherence, where quantum information is lost due to environmental noise. The Oxford team's method provides a modular solution. Instead of trying to fit everything into one massive processor, they can now link multiple smaller quantum processors together using teleportation. This allows for much larger and more powerful quantum computers without the constraints of a single chip. Even more impressive, the experiment showed that this teleportation-based approach is feasible with today's technology. This means that practical, large-scale quantum computing might not be as far off as we once thought. The implications of this achievement are vast. First and foremost, it solves the scalability problem, which has been a major roadblock in quantum computing. Most quantum processors today are small and fragile, struggling to maintain coherence when more qubits are added. By using quantum teleportation to link separate processors, scientists can now construct large-scale quantum systems without needing a single monolithic chip.
Without needing the single monolithic chip, right? Oh, gosh. It's like they're connecting the whole system, the whole fucking thing. DARPA, the DOD, all of this. They were launching 20,000 satellites and shit, you know, at a time across the planet, right under all of our noses, right? I was talking about it. You know, I'm sure there was many others, I'm sure too, but most people, except for like the crazies like us, you know, had no clue that any of this was even happening. You know, we are so fucked when they decide to pull the trigger on this, you know. We really are. People have no clue what they can be slapped right upside their heads with any moment if they just decide to pull the plug on the whole thing. It's all in place. It's all in place. And they're telling you with 0 day and all of this shit. They're telling you it's here. Right? We're there. 0 day is when no more preparation. They're running the real shit. All the the Jade Helm 13s and all of this shit. You guys remember the Jade? And some of this shit, I'm sure, especially hardcore conspiracy theorists, you guys are like, oh, this is, I've seen this stuff before and I know about this. Well, fuck you. Not everybody has. And maybe if you have, it's been like me, it's been years ago. Sometimes we need to revisit shit and put all the pieces together and see what the new picture is forming out. It's like arrogance to think that we just know something and can't, get a more evolved understanding of the shit. You know what I mean? It's just people blow me away, right? Especially in church or communities. Conscious people, it's like they call all the people that's not aware sheeple and shit like this. And it's like, full of themselves. It's arrogance, and then, we got all the new age shit where it's all, I create my own reality. And, no, you don't. No, you don't. It's a collective reality, If you created your own, then why aren't you running the whole fucking planet? You don't. You don't. You're sharing an experience, a collective experience. It's a consensus reality. You have a more individual input in your own individual stream, but that's it, bro. And it's still pretty limited. There's still a lot of parameters that can impact your experience. So and then all of this, we've got the victory, we're winning, we won, all of this, like people are in, like I said, victory formation, and the game isn't over yet. It's like, why are we? And I think this is exactly what they want. It's exactly what they want. They want you to, they want you to get your, your ass so comfortable that you just completely relax. How companies are advertising in Canada these days, made with 0% American cheese. To be honest, advertising like that in America would also boost sales. By the way, there's no more $800 duty fee imports from China. Beware of the unexpected fees. Google AI doing a cracking job. Did David Sterling survive? No, David Sterling did not survive World War II. He was captured in January 1943 and spent the rest of the war in captivity, died in London. I find the Google AI overview shockingly poor. Consistently, I'd say in my experience, it is wrong at least 80% of the time, even though France wants Europe to invest $120 billion in AI. It's not wrong. AI is not wrong. They're just choosing what to feed you, right? Especially Google. And I've showed this. I mean, especially people that's watched me since like 2015, 2016. How different is it from then till now? It's not even the same world, is it? It's not even the same world, right? You guys remember like the Paradise Fires and shit? Like the shit we were showing on YouTube back then? Like it was like Terminator D-Day shit. People were in their cars, skeletons and shit, That's when they started all the censorship, And now people are like, watch a lot of these conspiracy channels and shit. Like they're so worried about like being demonetized and shadow banned and all of this that they're like they're like talking in all this goof fuckhead language and shit to where you can't even understand what they're saying, like because they're so afraid the AI is going to pick up on the things that they're saying and give them strikes and shadow ban them and all of this. That's that newspeak, right? That's that newspeak. That's that 1984 Orwellian dystopian shit, Brave New World shit. By the way, what's the new Captain America movie called? Brave New World? Yeah. So, meanwhile, Metastaff torrented nearly 82 terabytes of pirated books for AI training. If a person did this, that would be like 69 years in prison with a $10 billion fine. elites following laws is socialism. Still think this is funny? Imagine waking up and your entire life savings is gone. The FDIC is removed. You can't fight the banks to get your money back. Now what? Still think this shit is funny? Still think what Elmo is doing is cool? If the FDIC is removed, people will drain their bank accounts and the banking industry will crash back to hiding our cash under the mattress because the banks are so untrustworthy. No, sister, not hiding our shit under mattresses. 0 day. 0 day. You go to the fucking ATM and you get no money. Economic collapse. And these guys in the ski masks and shit, right, pop up at your damn door, right, and come grab you up and shit, right? For, you know, these cats, right, that are already waiting in neighborhoods and shit, right? These cats. They put you in Guantanamo Bay, right, that they're expanding and shit, right? That's what happens. Yeah. So, and Elmo, she's talking about, fucking Elon Musk. So, think the shit's funny. Like, we're cute now, right? It's all cute till it's not, guys. Or better said, if the FDIC is removed, about 10% of people will drain their accounts before the cash supply fully dries up. I seen a video the other day, and it made me literally, think about this. It was one of the guys they're repulsive, the Island Boys, right? And he was talking about credit, but then he was like talking about how cash is king and shit. It's like, it literally made me think about this exactly. It's like, everybody does everything electronically now. Everybody. Nobody keeps cash at all anymore. And when, if and when something like that took place, nobody'd have nothing. There's a fruit named Hala that looks like an exploding planet and tastes like sugar cane. Bright fruits fill the air with a pleasant aroma, much like flowers. This fruit is healthy and can be eaten raw or cooked. It's a major source of food in Micronesia, especially in the atolls. Fibrous nature of the fruit serves as a natural dental floss. Tree's leaves are often used as flavoring for sweet dishes, such as kaya jam, and are also said to have medicinal properties. The oil to cure headaches and the flowers to cure constipation. The fibers on inner ends of the dry keys are used to brushes for painting, kapa tapa, and they also taste these seeds, which are difficult to remove. Happy Gulf of America Day. Unexpected fees shock U.S. consumers as Trump ends $800 duty-free imports from China. Portal to another dimension. Skiers witness sun candle phenomena. I've never heard of the sun candle before now, so I don't know. Have you? I mean, I haven't. Doesn't mean it's not real. I'm just a lot of this shit, you know, like bomb cyclones and atmospheric rivers and all this shit didn't even exist. There was 3 types of clouds when I went to school. You know, there's like 1,000 now. So, but it makes me wonder, you know, and if you think about, you know, the aluminum, barium, and strontium and all that shit, like sparkly glitter that's in the air there. You know, I know it's probably snow, but really sparkly too. So it was about time RFK Jr. is confirmed the nation's health secretary.
And I'll tell you what, we've got some breaking news just into our newsroom moments ago. Some people thought this wouldn't happen, but the Senate has just confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as our new Secretary of Health and Human Services. This was a very close vote. The final numbers came down to 52 to 48. Now, despite concerns over his views about vaccines and his statements in the past about vaccines and autism, Republicans backed Trump's pick, with Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell as the only Republican to vote no. McConnell is a polio survivor and had previously opposed some of Trump's other nominees. Kennedy is now going to oversee the $1.7 trillion in federal health spending, vaccines, policies, food safety, health insurance programs that cover nearly half of our country. All Senate Democrats opposed his confirmation.
Yeah. They're still talking about and acting against COVID deniers in 2025. 99.7% recovery from COVID. Why do we need a vaccine? They always say it's 2025. Quit complaining about COVID lockdowns. Yet they're still discussing COVID deniers. This is an article by David Farrell. Speechwriter came up with the idea of the axis of evil. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance's 12-year-old relative was denied a heart transplant because she is unvaccinated. Yes, this is a real news story, not from 2021, but from 2025. But good news finally. Moderna, which is Mode RNA, fined for luring children into vaccine trials with teddy bears. Right? Luring children into your fake deadly vaccine trials is a whole new level of evil. These people are scumbags. Japan launches UFO investigations to study the unknown presences in their sky. I'm telling you, this whole UFO shit, this is, you know, the fake alien invasion and shit like that, right? Like, and this is, to me, this is the most nefarious fucking psyop out there, guys. It really is. All the UFO fuckheads. Sorry, you are. Right? Yours is by far the most nefarious psyop out there. Because yours completely like disarms people against the whole fallen angel, Nephilim, demonic influence, like the whole shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got, they're here to help us and they're saving. Have they shown you one? Like, if it's even, we know it's bullshit, right? It's bullshit. It's our stuff, right? Flat out. And the only extraterrestrial is the damn demon and rituals that they're, you know, all these Hollywood weirdos and politicians are summoning, period. You know, period. But, you know, you got everybody thinking they're these fucking starseed and da-da-da-da. Like, you know, I'm communicating, you know, with the Pleiadian system. Are you? Are you? You got GPS on that thing? You know exactly where you're going with it, or know exactly who you're talking to? Know exactly where you're getting that download? You know? Because it sounds like you're walking right into the New World Order 2. You know? So, saying. They're good ETs. The good ETs. Right? The good ETs. Everything I've ever heard about good ETs, I didn't know good ETs abducted people. Right? Abduction is called, it's kidnapping, right? You know? Cow mutilations, all this shit. I didn't know good ETs done that weird shit. You know? According to the Japan Times, a group of Japanese lawmakers from various political parties has recently decided to request the government to establish an organization to investigate unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UFOs. The decision was made during a meeting held a few days ago in Tokyo. Meanwhile, the man who drove a car into a crowd in Munich, Germany, has been revealed to be an Afghan asylum seeker with multiple prior arrests with papers, a so-called welcome alien. So, Jesus. This is the whole autonomous vehicle shit, right? They don't want you to be able to drive your own car, right? Have any autonomy at all, right? You want AI to escort you around. Elon Musk's fucking Ubers and shit to come pick you up. You know? And notice this is a legal alien now, right? So this is also pushing the whole federal ICE agent, you know, alien immigration shit too, right? Build the wall to keep them out, or is it to keep us in? Truth. The government audits 700,000 people each year. The people audit the government just once, and there's wailing and gnashing of teeth. I really hope they make trading illegal for politicians while in office. I saw some articles going around that it might be next. I can't believe things have gone on this long this way. By the way, just yesterday, the Department of State updated the procurement forecast, including was 400 plus million on armored Teslas just last night. It has been edited once again to say armored electric vehicles instead. Hey, Elon, are you trying to cover up massive government contracts to Tesla? The article has the relevant spreadsheets linked, but they're also on the federal website, Drive Tesla Canada. Meanwhile, Jay Powell introduces constitutional amendment to Ever Citizens United. No chance to go through. Procurement forecast, Public Law 10656, the Business Opportunity Development Reform Act of 1988, amended the Small Business Act to place new emphasis on acquisition planning. In response to this requirement, the Department of State forecast of contract opportunities includes projections of anticipated contracts. So this actually sounds a whole lot like preparation for like Executive Order 13603, procurement of things in anticipation of, right? And the whole armored electric vehicles. This is fucking weird, man. It really is. It's fucking crazy. It is crazy, y'all. Like, I'm just watching all this shit. It's like, wow. I get to this shit file, so I'm not gonna fool with it. I'm gonna go through all that. And at least 28 are hurt as driver plows into a demonstration in Germany. Right? This is more of this shit, you know? U.S. Representatives Camila J. Powell, WA07, introduced an amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would end corporate personhood, reverse Citizens United, put power back into the hands of people, and make it clear that money does not equal speech. Corporations are not people, and money is not speech, said J. Powell. In every election cycle since the disastrous Citizens United decision, we have seen more and more special interest, dark money poured into campaigns across the country. This year, with the billionaire paying millions to buy a seat as shadow president. Not just one billionaire. Trump's got the billionaire fucking like all-star team. Seriously. And they all, I mean, Elon was definitely the one who put the most, but my We the People Amendment hands power back to the people by finally ending corporate constitutional rights. And think about it too. Trump literally bought off all of his enemy, like anybody that would be any Tulsi Gabbard or okay, by giving him just a spot on the team. Like he's like, hey, you get a spot on the team. You know, bow down. And they all did it. They all did it. We applaud Republican Premier J. Powell for leadership sponsoring HJ R54, the We the People Amendment. Deadly U.S. plane crashes in 2025 timeline. Flight data recorders recovered in D.C. plane crash. There have been 7 deadly plane crashes in the United States in 2025. Before 2025, the most recent deadly plane crash involving a U.S. airliner was in, 2009. In total, 88 people have died in the 2025 plane crashes. Since the beginning of 2025, a total of 88 people have died in 7 U.S. aviation incidents. And if you guys remember from the first Trump regime, right? Those are his numbers, 7 and 88. So 7's judgment and all this, so. According to the National Transportation Safety Board preliminary report, you're expected within 30 days from the date of each accident. The preliminary report will contain factual information gathered during the initial phase of the investigation, probable cause of each crash, any contributing factors, and look at each of these dates. Look, 2 plus 9, 11, 3 and 1, it's a 3. February 6, 2 and 6, 8. There's a 10, 2 and 1, 10, 12, 14, 15, 2, 1 and 9. There's another 9 and 1, right? All of them have like the 9 and the 1 energy, like the 9 and 11 energy, though. All of these, almost all of them. There's now a couple more, but the first few had them. So, just weird, that we see the weird energy signatures on a lot of these things. So they kind of like look like sacrifices or staged events or whatever. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know what's downing all these planes. But do you remember a couple years ago when all the planes were like having to land and shit because like the weird, disturbance and shit, like they was getting in the skies? I'm wondering if it's like the satellites and magnetic interference and stuff actually putting these things down, like crashing them now, from our technology. Plane crashes in peak holiday season bring back questions on airline safety. 4 incidents in a week, including 2 fatal crashes, killing 220 passengers, right? And 22 is the builder number, right? Have triggered fresh scrutiny, which is 2 11s, right? So there's that 11 energy again, twice, right? 9, 11, right? Those 2 numbers. So just saying. It's either in the deaths or the dates on all of them. Literally, it's weird. It's fuck. 2 recent aircraft crashes a few days apart, killing nearly 220 passengers in Azerbaijan, South Korea, in the middle of peak holiday season. And they have like footage of their shit going down, you know, in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, and we don't have footage of some of these in like populated areas. That's kind of weird. So, numerous plane crashes reported recently highlight aviation safety concerns. Helium summary: several recent plane crashes have brought the spotlight back on the aviation safety. In Colorado, hikers recorded a near-miss crash on July 4th. Boeing has agreed to a plea deal over 2 massive fatal crashes of 737 MAX planes. Additionally, private plane crash in Steamboat Springs resulted in 2 deaths. A tragic crash in Kansas claimed the lives of beloved aviation enthusiast couple. An engineer was charged for hiding documents related to a 2017 crash that killed Marines. In other incidents, a small plane crash in Russia's Tatarstan Republic resulted in 3 deaths, and a crop duster crash in Texas led to 1 fatality and 1 serious injury. These events highlight ongoing issues and complexities in aviation safety, from mechanical failures to human error and negligence. And the mechanical failures, I'm wondering if it's coming from electromagnetic interference, you know, from Starlink and satellites and, you know, all the quantum qubit shit going on now. So I really do. Republicans want to prevent the USDA from implementing rules to control salmonella. I think it's actually 2 of them. 2 Republican representatives have introduced a bill that would prevent the U.S. Department of Agriculture from pursuing a rule to reduce salmonella in raw poultry. And the U.S. reps are Stephen Womack, Tracy Mann. Their bill seeks to prevent the USDA from finalizing, implementing, administering, enforcing proposed salmonella framework for raw poultry, 89 Federation Regulation 64678. Right, with all the bird flu shit, you see where that's going. Right, you can see where that's going. I hope you can see where that's going. Russian passport found at Chernobyl nuclear site after recent drone attack. Just bullshit. Of course, it's a joke. The same one was found at a Nord pipeline, I presume. False flag attack or crazy delirium. Moment Russian drone hits Chernobyl nuclear plant in Ukraine. Here's the video. Watch it. Boom! Bam! Look at that. It looks like a fucking... Вскоре после взрыва. Yeah. I have a video where Russia is literally fucking talking about Zelensky. It's really short. I'll show it.
Зеленский, стремясь убедить заокеанских собственных товарищей возобновить военные поставки, подчеркнул, что их прекращение и риск следования этому примеру Европейского Союза может привести к потере Украиной территорий. Он как будто не понимает, что ли, что он уже потерял все. Он потерял и территории, он потерял страну, он потерял людей. А почему? Потому что до всего этого Зеленский потерял совесть. Между тем, Киев пытается перенять тактику спецслужб Израиля и нарастить террористическую деятельность против российских военнослужащих.
So, yeah. And in case you're, and this just shows you too, just how weird she's getting. I'm going to show you just, I got a couple of just weird videos. You know, we're probably going to have to do a part 2 on this one. So, there's so much.
I actually don't even know how to process this. I've been watching Candace Owens and she's been deep diving into this insane conspiracy about the French president, and it's unreal. So here's the deal. Candace Owens believes, well, she knows that the French president is married to a trans woman, and not just any trans woman, but his own father. His father. I know that it sounds insane, but this woman has been researching for over a year to prove this. And if you don't feel like watching all the videos, I'm going to break down the 3 major pieces of evidence that she has. But here's the backstory. Emmanuel Macron is the president of France, and his wife is Brigitte. She was allegedly a former school teacher. So here's evidence number 1. So Candace dug up old records and found that there's actually no trace of this woman, no birth certificate, nothing. And even her school years didn't add up. Students say they never heard of her record.
I know that they sent her a cease and desist letter. Emmanuel Macron sent her a cease and desist letter because she came out with the statute of limitations because he was a minor when she first banged him. Like, and this coming out is just even wilder that it's his dad that's a tranny. This is just how weird these motherfuckers are. Like, it's crazy.
Are missing, and there's zero trace of a young Brigitte. Which brings me to piece of evidence number 2, where things get even crazier. Candace found an old article from the 70s about Macron's father, talking about how he disappeared for a period of time only to return looking different. And old family photos show Macron's father at the time after he reemerged after being gone to have strange resemblance of Brigitte, Macron's current wife. But at that time, he was presenting as a man. Basically, the theory is this. Macron's father legally and physically transitioned into Brigitte, and then later they fell in love with their own son and married him. And because they're so powerful, the entire story was just wiped clean until now. And Candace Owens is just getting savage. She's not holding back at all. Meanwhile, Macron's team is just scrambling to do damage control. Reports even claim that the French press has been warned not to even touch this story. Honestly, I don't even know what to do with this information. My brain is freaking melting because if this is true, if this is even half true, this would be one of the biggest political cover-ups in history. I am not.
Fucking wild. And this is just, it's all of them. It's all of them.
Ultimate goal is to be famous.
Shit, hold on. Let me switch my headphones real quick here, guys. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. And we'll wrap it up here shortly. And we'll do a part 2 on this one. Because I just got too much still. Too much. There we go. Fuck. These are low too. Great. And I want you to remember too. So when we're looking at the language here, going back to the beginning, and I don't feel like very many people were able to follow me at the beginning, but either way, when they're selling their soul to the devil is the double, right? So this idea that it's this external entity, it's not. It's you. It would be you. It's you selling your soul to the physical self, and the God of this world, right? The physical world, gets dominion over the spiritual self when it's supposed to be flipped the other way, right? So. Yeah. So, um, yeah, yeah. I think this is a good place to end it for this one. This is gonna be we're gonna do part 2 on this one. We're gonna have to do part 2 on this one. There's just too much. I haven't even got into fucking revelations or nothing. I have so much more shit. Like, this is one of the deeper rabbit holes. It just opens up so many things. I have the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. I have so many different documents and fucking everything. So there's still so much, hours and hours of content. So we're going to stop here tonight. This is going to be the end of part 1. We will be doing part 2 of this one. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys for watching. If you would like to support this, yeah, we'll run that video back in part 2. We'll run that video. I got a way cooler one for part 2 too. It's like the origins of the New World Order. It's just it's a long one, So, but we're gonna take it off. We're gonna get into the revelations. We're gonna, I know the first 20, 30 minutes are probably a little hard to digest for folks. Maybe even the first hour, but you have to give people the base, right, to understand the story and the way it's perceived and the language and all that, and whether they, agree, disagree, what the fuck ever, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you don't see now, one day you will. So it's getting close to 0 day. We're getting close to there. So if you guys want to donate support, paypal.me, the Best Damn Podcast, Cash App, Best Damn Podcast, Facebook Messenger Pay, Facebook.com, John Keen, Best Damn Podcast, or join us over on Patreon, Patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. Follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, X now, The Real Best Damn, and then YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official, Best Damn Podcast, and John Keen 33. And it's not because I'm a Freemason. It's because I'm a 33 life path, and I was born on the 33rd parallel. So that's why the 33, in case people were wondering. All right, guys. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Y'all have an awesome night, and I will see you in part 2. Peace.